Welcome to FranchiseWire Live, your source for all things franchising. Remember to subscribe to FranchiseWire Live on YouTube. You can also follow us on Facebook, Instagram, and Twitter. And for the latest in news, events, and happenings in franchising, bookmark FranchiseWire.com. Now here's the host of FranchiseWire Live, IFPG President, Red Boswell.
Welcome back to FranchiseWire Live. I'm your host, Red Boswell, president of IFPG, the International Franchise Professionals Group. We're here today, FranchiseWire Live, joined by, we have a sponsor, FranFund, the biggest and best funding sources in franchising. Thank you for joining us. Thank you for promoting and supporting FranchiseWire Live. Now, we are joined by a great friend, dare I say, franchise icon. He's FranMan.
FranMan.
Or is FranMan short for something else? We're going to learn shortly. Kit Vinson, thanks for joining us today.
Yay! Thanks for having me. What a blast. Thanks for having me. This is a big deal to me.
If any of those animals on the wall move,
only their butts on the other side. The butts move, but their heads don't. And
you're in beautiful Texas today. Just down the road from me a bit. And where you at?
Texas, our Texas, all hail our mighty state. I am in Coppell, Texas, which is a suburb of Dallas, just down the street from you, actually. About
You're Coppell. I'm Carrollton, Plano area.
I know, Plano, Texas.
So, the purpose of FranchiseWire is to help and bless the franchise community, to give back, to talk to franchise leaders about what's going on, what they see, what they predict, insights, advice. And you've come from such a unique perspective. We got introduced quite a few years ago. I thought FranMan was because you're in franchising and you're the man, but it's so really where did you get the name FranMan?
So the company, the actual name of the company when we first started back in 2005, which is 16 years ago, was Franchise Manuals LLC. So I went to this website and it was kind of like 99 Designs. It may have been purchased by 99 Designs. At the time, it was called Worth 1000. And I said, hey, here's our company. You created a contest, a $300 contest to create your logo. And people from all over the world would compete. And we had, here's the name of our company. It's called Franchise Manuals LLC. We need a logo and all this stuff. And somebody came up with the FranMan logo. And we had probably about 100 different people from different countries submit ideas for what our logo should be based on our description and who we were. But the one with the pages coming off the M was the one I liked the most. The second was the paper clip that was unfolded, looked like an F. I thought that was cool too. But so the one with the pages coming off. So we were Franchise Manuals LLC, but our logo said FranMan, and that we had trademarked in 2005 maybe. 2000 and gosh, I don't know how many years ago we incorporated. And so when we created the corporation, we just said, you know what, everyone calls us FranMan. Let's just call it FranMan Inc. So now we are FranMan Inc. So it's originally short for Franchise Manuals, which is the core of our business.
I know of no one else that's all they do. I mean, if you're going to do something, you specialize in it, you really focus on it, and you make it your all. And so every franchisor needs a franchise manual. Now, this isn't an infomercial for FranMan, but
if you buy now,
I think it's so cool that's all you do. You can become that world expert on that. You got some cool technologies to back it, but you've got such that unique perspective from the franchise manual space, what's going on in manuals, what the trends are in manuals. So we're going to kind of go deep on that topic if you don't mind.
Man, all the time you want. All the time you want.
Let's look at that. He's got it branded on his cup too. I'm just slacking. I'm slacking on my branding. All I got is a Red Bull over here.
Well, it's close enough. It's close enough. Just put your hand over the bull part and it'll just be, I'm drinking red, baby.
It is a peach one, so it's kind of reddish. So franchise manuals, you create them, you help folks, you pull things out of them they don't even know are in them. Help us understand what's happening in franchise manuals.
Well, what's happening in franchise manuals, when we started Franchise Manuals back in 2005, it was virtually all paper. And if I could I still have the mammoth printer that I purchased. I purchased when we started the company. I said, we're going to be printing manuals. And so I've got this the color laser printer, and it has huge toner cartridges that I haven't turned on in years because the industry or the world has evolved away from that. So fewer and fewer people are printing. I mean, really, truly, when we first started, we had relationships with binding companies, with leather companies that would do leather bindings because companies wanted their manuals done looking beautiful, and we would have them bound up. And boy, we haven't done that in years. So the evolution of the operations manual, which started off as a big paper document, and now it went from there to it almost skipped it though, which was this PDF. So it's not really skipping it, but it's not going to stay here very long. This whole PDF idea of taking your operations manual, converting it into a PDF, throwing it up on a document library, and then that's your franchise operations manual. It's good. It has a lot of limitations to it. The next stage of the evolution is going to be this web-based operations manual. So the online manual by FranMan is that, and so what we've done is we've taken the operations manual and created it like a Wikipedia site. So you could have your manual uploaded, and now everybody's always looking at there are no more versions of the manual floating around. Now the web-based version is the only manual. PDF, that's one of the big limitations of it.
So now it's a live living, it's always evolving. It's
absolutely that. So the big problem with franchise operating manuals is that clients don't understand that it is an evolving document. It shouldn't be a snapshot. It should be changing almost daily even. But there hasn't been a mechanism in place to allow them to do that. So if you're a franchisor and you're not updating your manual at least quarterly, I mean, at a bare minimum quarterly, these are system standards. This is not just, hey, are we gonna have the day before Thanksgiving off this year? Let's see. No, these are things that define the relationship, and that are make it or break it deals sometimes. Hey, if you're not doing this as a franchisee, we're gonna cut you. You can't do that. You can't not do this and be a franchisee. That's what a system standard is. And if you're not updating those things, my advice to franchisors right now is no matter who wrote your manual or how you have it distributed to your franchisees, update that thing regularly, because it'll keep you out of trouble.
Well, so as a franchisor for many years back in the day when I had a lot more red, I wasn't so concerned about making the updates. I was making updates all the time. It was nobody's reading them. Or if they were or weren't, I couldn't track it. I didn't know who had when. I'm emailing them 18 times, reminding them, check the updates. But what impressed me, man, it's probably been 2 years when I heard you speak once about the tracking and the automatic being able to know who saw it when and time stamping. And I was just like, that is heavenly. I don't know if anybody else is doing that, but man, I was sold just when I heard that.
Yeah, we built this thing from the ground up specifically for franchisors. So when changes are made, everything is tracked. It just like Facebook and Google. I mean, everything is tracked. All the activity in the manual is tracked. So we can find out who's looked at the changes, who's looked at updates, how long they were on the page. I mean, all sorts of stuff. But that's key. That's key. But what's, comment you made earlier, I want to comment on, which is, I don't even know if anybody's reading them. And you really have to understand at the time you didn't understand what the functions, you didn't truly understand what the functions of this document were, because there are a couple of functions of this document that you don't care if anybody reads it or not. Yeah. I don't care if anybody reads it, because I just want to be able to, this is the authority document for all of our system standards, right? I don't care if anybody reads that. I do care if someone reads it, but there's a side of me that doesn't care, because I'm going to stand behind that document in a courtroom someday, and I'm going to let it defend me in a courtroom, and I'm going to update that thing all the time, so that when we do end up in court, I've got this shield and I'm standing behind this, my ops manual. The alternative is that you don't update it, and guess where that shield's going to be? It's going to be back here, and you're going to be taking all the bullets and defending that document. The judge is going to say, well, tell me how come you didn't update that document? Oh, well, because it was busy, and we got two new franchisees, and we got too busy and we couldn't do it. Versus, hey, where does it say it? Well, it says it on page 15 right here. And so it's all about, where do you want to stand, in front of the document or behind the document?
And to me, even equally important is the fact that you can prove who saw it when. Mr. Friend, it's not defendant, it's
whatever.
The plaintiff.
The plaintiff
claims they were not notified.
Right.
But on October 3rd, from 3 p.m. to 4:15 p.m., they had that page open on their, so that's just, I just realized this sounds so much like an advertisement again. Normally, I don't go into this much detail
I'm sorry. I don't want that to happen either.
Well, no, I'm asking you. It's fascinating. I know Zors are listening going, answer to my prayers. It's just so cool what you do. And I think you should be a household name in franchising. So anyway, you're sharing some cool stuff with us, and there's certainly other people that do this too. I'm not saying they're the only guys, but if you're a Zor out there and you don't have this level of technology in your operations manuals, look around, find somebody that can help you with it, because it's a game changer for protecting you. That shield analogy was great, but also making updates, being able to communicate those updates, being able to track those updates, being able to reference them constantly on your various Z calls. It's just an absolute life changer, game changer for the communication structure and even the legal structure between a Z and a Zor. So Kip, what's the next step? Where are franchise manuals going beyond that? Any predictions for the future?
Yeah, I mean, so when you go from paper to this hybrid, which is PDF, to this website, I don't know what's going to be the next World Wide Web. I don't know what's going to be the next internet, but right now in the foreseeable future, it's going to stay there. More of the content that we have in operating manuals is going to be video. And so right now we're seeing that's what's going to be happening in the future. The problem with video, and it's not a problem with video, it's a problem with the perception of video, is that people think they have to be perfect. We don't want to do any video unless we have professional intros and outros and lighting and the whole bit. And boy, that's not what people are expecting. And I can go through, and those system standards still probably need to be in your document in writing, but we can add videos. Well, right now we can embed videos into the online manual, but people aren't doing it as much because they feel like they have to be perfect. And I'm here to say they don't have to be perfect. And
in videos too, so oftentimes people are interviews like, I mean, this video, it looks like you got horns on your head right now. We're not perfect. There you are. Nice. Well, so a hot topic for everybody right now is travel. You got any travel plans on the calendar for 2021?
Some people might not like me, but the answer is yes. We haven't stopped doing site visits, both in person, but we have added this option of virtual site visits. So a big piece of our system is we spend 3 days. I spend 3 days on site with a client, and we have to learn everything about their business. We have to learn everything that we need for the manual, not everything about their business, but everything we need for the manual about their business. That takes time. We've honed our processes over the years. So I still need those three days. The thing with that process is that if I had a dime for every time I asked somebody a question, they said, I don't know I would not be here with you. I would be on my boat already, because I ask a lot of questions that they say I don't know to. And we don't really call ourselves franchise consultants, but when you are intimately exposed to that many systems over the years, 150, 160, however many there are, we've been not just passively exposed, but intimately exposed. To the point we wrote the book on it, right? And so when someone says, I don't know how to do that, if I say, hey, how do you expect this to happen? And they go, I don't know. Well, I can't just sit there and go, okay, next question, please. I'm going to say, okay, let me tell you how some companies do it. Some companies do it like this. Some companies do it like that. And we end up doing a lot of consulting. And there's a lot of energy that goes back and forth. Oh, dang it. I'm so sorry. I forgot to turn my phone on. Let me do that
demand.
Right now.
Hey,
no, I forgot to turn it off.
This is a great example of not having to be perfect.
That's right. This is it. No editing, not perfect. I apologize.
I'm waiting for the kids to run through and the cat to jump on your lap.
Just if you wait long enough, it's going to happen. So we do a lot of consulting because they don't know the answers to all those questions.
Mm-hmm.
And there's a lot of energy that goes by, and that it's hard to describe, but when you're there in person and I can see how you're answering a question, you can see this in my face, yes. That tells me a lot about your answer. That tells me, hey, you know what? You don't really know your answer.
Yeah.
And so I'm going to go in and I'm going to dig. Well, tell me a little bit more about that, XYZ, Mr. Franchisor. Yeah, well, you know what? We haven't really thought about this. Oh, I'm sorry. I thought you just gave me an answer like you knew what you were talking about. Had I just looked at the word or just heard the word, I would have thought that he knew the answer was yes, and we move on. The reality is the answer is I don't really know. I have no idea. And now I can go in there and help him develop that. And so in-person site visits are going to be invaluable until they absolutely shut down every airport. I'm going to keep going.
Wow. And have you been tempted to buy a franchise?
Oh my gosh, yes.
Yeah.
There have been some that it's really hard because I want to grow my business and I want to dominate the industry where it's part of, franchising is not an industry, they say, but it sort of is. There's a group of businesses that kind of center around. But so I want to dominate our space. We kind of created this space and I want to dominate. I think we do, but I want to keep dominating it. So when it comes to buying into or investing in a franchise, I'm always nervous. Boy, it's got to be something special. And early on, we didn't have any money, and so now that we do, it's like, okay, now I got to make sure it's got to be.
You ever have those single friends who have they pass on a marriage partner, and then that was above their pay grade already.
Mm-hmm.
And they can never find someone as good, or they're always upgrading their standard. Like, hey, I'm 42. I've waited this long. They got to be perfect. And then, so it's the same thing with buying a franchise. We're around them all day, man. If you or I ever bought a franchise, whoa. I mean, because we see it all.
That's like, what's Warren Buffett investing in, right?
Yeah.
And so, it's sort of like that. Except that there's more to it than that, because I love food service franchises. They make up the lion's share of franchising out there. I personally would never do that. The idea of being an owner of a restaurant, it's just so far outside of my pleasure zone that I would never do it. Though, I mean, there are businesses out there that are absolutely crazy successful, but I would never have been one to jump on that because I'm not a food service guy. But there are some other things that are right down my alley that I've looked at and said, "Pooh-wee, those things are." One of them I can't talk about, but another one would be like HTO. I don't know if you know.
Oh, sure.
Justin Howell with HTO. Those guys are printing money, and it's a really neat concept. That is a little bit like food service. The other one would be like Atlanta rim repair, and this guy he was. If you scratch your rim, he goes up to he's not franchising anymore, but he was. But he goes up to any kind of used car dealership and says, "Hey, what do you want me to fix the rims?" And he makes bank. And I'm thinking, that's a cool business. I would do something like that. Yeah. But you look at some of these other ones, and I don't want to mention any industries or what I wouldn't do, but there are a ton of them out there that I'm thinking, who in the world would do that? But you know what? You look at their list and they've got a ton of people.
Oh yeah.
So
it's different strokes for different folks. Just like
absolutely.
My best friend's wife, I would never marry her. He would never marry my wife. I mean, I love you, JD and Amanda. I'm just
please don't watch this video, JD and Amanda.
No, he's never going to see it. Anyway, but he would never marry mine either. So it's different strokes for different folks, different franchises. I'm not a restaurant guy either, but man, I'll eat it all day long. Come on.
Yep.
Well, this is such a unique conversation. And from again, such a unique perspective. Kid, I don't even know what to ask you. I mean, I'm sitting here going, okay, what are trends and operations manuals? But
there's not a lot of trends and operations manuals. We already talked about kind of what the future was going to be like, and I think it's going to be more videos.
Yeah.
but operating manuals are absolutely. So I mean, I'm happy to talk with you about what those 4 functions of an operation is, just to edify, to educate any listener that hadn't heard this before.
Let's do it.
It's really important that as a franchisor that you fully understand the functions of your operations manual. And I don't know how much time you have. This will take maybe about 5 minutes, but until you know what those functions are, you're not going to be putting the same stuff in there. If you think that this is a bird feeder and I think this is a car wash, when it comes time to the day that we're going to build this thing, you're going to bring a certain set of parts. I'm going to bring a set of parts, and they're not going to look anything like what that's all about. No, we're building a car wash. No, we're not. We're building a bird feeder. 2 different people think that this document does something else. It all boils down to 4 functions. I'm going to say 5. I just added one recently, but I haven't updated it to my presentation. The first function of the operating manual it's the authority document for your system standards. We talked about that a little bit. So as we're talking about what goes in your operating manual, as you're a franchisor and you're looking to update your manual to make it modern, to bring it up to speed, think about it from the idea of this is the authority document we talked about earlier, standing behind it. Are all of the rules that a franchisee has to follow in your franchise operations manual? A lot of people think, oh my gosh, because you're so deep in the weeds, you're deep in the weeds, and you're deep in the system standards, and you think, oh, of course that's understood. That's the system standard. No, it's not. Get it in your manual. It's not a system standard till it's in your manual, by the way. It's just the best practice. So get it in your operations manual. And just for those who are brand new to franchising, a system standard is a rule that a franchisee has to follow if they want to be a member of your club. If they want to join the club, you say, absolutely, you can join the club, but you have to follow these rules. Clubhouse rules, no girls allowed, whatever the clubhouse rules are. Every franchisor has their own rules. Those are called system standards. So this is the master document for that. The second function of the operations manual is that it serves as a training document, training/reference document. And when we get into training, we really have to understand that there are 2 types of training. One kind of training is the how to roll the burrito training, right? That's concept training. That is literally how to roll the burrito. First, you put the meat in, then you put the sauce in, then you roll left side, right side, center, whatever, wrap it in paper. That's concept training, and that's definitely going to be in there. There's another kind of training. Not every franchisor is looking for people that have 20 years of experience in the industry. And some industries are so crazy that it'd be impossible to find people. So you're looking for somebody with passion. You're looking for somebody with energy. You're looking for somebody with money, right? They have to be able to invest in it. You're looking for somebody that gets it. When you find that person, you don't care what kind of experience they have, because I can train the burrito part. I can't train passion. I can't train energy. I can't train those other things. I can't train a bank account full of money. They have to have those things, right? Yeah. So oftentimes we're bringing in retired teachers, retired military, retired police. These are people who've never hired anybody, never fired anybody, never done any of those things that a franchisee has to be able to do. So we're also training them on how to be in business. And so there are 2 levels there, but we got to make sure that we include some of that stuff. And a third function is brand protection. Brand protection is very closely related to system standards. But when you grant a franchise to a franchisee, you're in effect handing your brand over to somebody else. This is your baby. You've nurtured this baby for years, and now you're going to give it to somebody else, and you're going to say, okay, here you go. And you're going to put it down. And if I could, I don't have a chart here, but if I could say this bottom line here represents the franchisor's vision for the direction of the company. This top line here, it goes barely above this angle is so small initially, but it's not until we get out to year, say 10, 5, that line gets so far apart that it's noticeable now. And it gets really noticeable at some point. You might vet a franchisee and think, oh my God, these guys, we put the chip in, they drank the Kool-Aid. Everybody loves everybody. And it's all kumbaya. And you're right there together and you look like you're following the same line. Over time, you're going to walk in and they've got hippie beads hanging down and beanbag chairs. And it's like, whoa, what is this? This is not my oil change place or whatever it is. And it's like, oh no, but Every franchisor has heard this 1,000 times. My market's different.
Yep.
We need to do this here. And it's like, no, that's not our brand. And so you have to have something in place that's going to protect that brand. And that's the franchise operations manual. The contract does it at a very high level. Thou shalt not. The manual fills in all those blanks. It's a sales tool, and I don't like to use the word sales when it comes to franchise. I know people in your industry that's what it's all about, but for me, it suggests ownership of something that you don't own. And so when I sell something to somebody, they buy it. If they buy it, they think they own it. If they think they own it, they think they can do what they want to with it. They're being granted a franchise. They're investing in a franchise, and then it's being granted to them like a driver's license or medical license or anything else. A franchise is a license.
Yep.
So, but you do have to sell the idea of being a franchisee. You have to sell this lifestyle, this whole idea of joining this organization and the energy and everything that goes along with it. And a franchisor is saying, hey, I want you to part with, sometimes it's $1 million, even south of that, $500,000, $250,000. That's a lot of money. And I'm asking somebody to part with that or commit to parting with it. I better show them that I've got my ducks in a row. I have a system in place, a mechanism in place to support them. So that's what the operations manual does. So it's a tool in your bag to sell the idea of being a franchisee. That's what you guys do. And then finally, the fifth function is corporate culture. I mean, you don't have a lot of opportunities to convey corporate culture. You have them in for training, and then they go home. Then you have them in once a year, and that's it. And you got to get your energy in there, your personal energy, your corporate energy out. And how do you do that? Ops manual is a place to do that. Ta-da. So those are the 5 functions.
What are the 5? Say them right.
So master authority document for your system standards. Like, I'm starting with my thumb. I never do that. The authority document for your system standards. It is a training document, training/reference. And again, we broke that up into concept training and business training. It is the brand protection piece. It is a sales tool, and it is a mechanism for conveying corporate culture.
Nice.
So,
well done, sir.
There you go.
Everybody got their money's worth today.
Good. That's what I hope. I hope I was quick about it.
What's as we're running out of time, what's the 1 or 2 top mistakes you see franchisors make regarding the manuals?
Well, they don't update them. They think that a manual, the top mistake, that's just the number one all over the place, is they think that it's a static document. And once they've done it, they're poof, I'm done. And then they walk away, and then they come back 5 years later, which is why we're in business. So I don't want them to stop doing that, but they need to do it. They need to update their operating manuals. That's the biggest mistake, is not updating your operations manuals. We found we've been with big multinational clients that would be something like, that would be in the technology field. And we've looked at their manuals, and it's like, we will deliver to you your additional documents on a floppy drive, things like that. And it's crazy. It's crazy. Wow. So the data, the update date at the bottom of the page was changed, but nobody actually read it. Got to update your stuff. And then passing it down to the lowest guy on the totem pole. If you know anything about totem poles, actually that's the most important person. So I'm going to be accurate, passing it to the highest person on the totem pole. Passing it to Billy in the mailroom, right? Yeah, Billy in the mailroom, and it should not be writing our operations manuals. We've actually seen content that says, literally, I'm going to quote you this. It's like, when ... That's how the paragraph started. And so that made it into the operations manual. So that's those are the 2 big mistakes. 1, not updating it. 2, letting Billy in the mailroom update it. Sorry, Billy, you just shouldn't be doing manuals. I love you, Billy.
Billy will be CEO one day.
You're not ready, Billy. You're not ready for the game.
Man, this is good stuff. See,
all right, guys. I love the energy here.
We don't have some agenda. We're not going by a script. We're just rapping and pulling major wisdom. I know the Zor's got serious value out of this, Kit. Thank you, man.
You're very welcome.
You. Look forward to seeing you. I only see you in other states. I don't even see you in our own home.
I know. Okay. Normally you see me in a state of hysteria, but all right, guys. Thank you very much, Red, for having me on. I really do appreciate it. And by the way, I am the newest member of IFPG. I'm really proud about that too. So if you're not a member yet, if you're watching this and you're not a member yet, talk to Red, find out why you should be.
That's very kind of you guys. Full disclosure, I set this up not knowing he was joining. You don't have to be a member of IFPG. It helps sometimes, but I look for great leaders in franchising who can add value to our community, and Kit is certainly one of those. Thank you, Kit, for joining IFPG. We appreciate you, brother. We're changing lives together. Guys, thanks for joining FranchiseWire Live. IFPG President Red Boswell, brought to you by Fran Fund. It should be right here, probably Fran Fund's logo, and Mr. Kit, it's over here, Mr. Kit Vinson with FranMan. Thanks again. See you, brother.
Thanks, buddy.
Take care.